Hello, my name is Yvette Searson, and I am your moderator for this morning. And I'm here to welcome a wonderful lady who is a global thought provoking think tank leader. And her name is Kimberly Williams, also known as Coach Kimm. Coach Kimm is able to submerge together both emotional intelligence and kingdom principles. And she's able to unlock the potential in individuals and businesses. Coach Kim, how are you today, love?
I am wonderful, Miss Yvette Searson.
Oh
How
my
are you
goodness.
today?
I'm wonderful. It's so good to see your beautiful face.
You as well. I'm very excited to have you introduce me today. Thank
Well,
you.
marvelous, marvelous. Listen, I'm just going to let you take it from here because I know you're fully capable. But before I leave, Coach Kim, just remember this: genius is common, and I'll see you on the other side.
Yes, yes. And thank you so much, Miss Yvette Searson. She is such a wonderful thought leader herself. All right. So I am Kimberly Williams. They do call me Coach Kim, but I'm an emotional intelligence coach. And I want to talk to you today about what emotional intelligence brings to the table of your Black business. It's important for me that we have this conversation because over the course of my um, 10 years in this business in particular that I've been able to witness not only in the nonprofit world, but also in our Black business culture and lack of business intelligence in a way that yields a culture of emotional intelligence, a culture of growth, not only for ourselves as an individual, but also for the individuals that work for us, that serve us, that provide the services. That our company represents. And so I want to put that in the front of our minds and I want to have that discussion with you today. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being a support of the Black Business Olympics speakers. The expo today is to raise funds for our upcoming entrepreneurs, those students who would love to be in a college setting and they may need a bump up. And I want to tell you that I was a recipient of a bump up at one point in my life. Not only did I receive a scholarship from a beautiful family, but they also provided with me my first laptop so that I could be as diligent as necessary for me to get the education at my good old home by the sea. So shout out to Hampton University and all other HBCUs that are out there in this wonderful world. So I want to start with a thought. And the thought is this: an emotional, intelligent person is grounded in his or her own abilities and expect copying. That's the mark of a true leader. They recognize the value in their authenticity and respond with peace to drama. They create bridges to solutions and do not manipulate the decisions of others based on temporary access, because temporary access is less desirable than long term stability. So, I want to talk to you today just about being a leader within your own company in the way of emotional intelligence. I want to talk to you about what that looks like. I want to provide for you some solutions and some direction as to how you can incorporate not only intelligence, but intention intelligence, the business intelligence, even a culture intelligence, so that there is a signature to who you are as a brand and business, organization, group, or a staff. And then also so that when you stand out, you're standing tall. That's important to me as a Black woman, as a mother of beautiful Black children who will grow in this world that is shifting and changing. And we just heard from Mr. Christopher Lafayette in such a profound way how our world is evolving. And more than ever, when you're in a situation of non-eye contact or non-physical contact, it's so much more important then that you represent yourself with an emotional intelligence. So what is emotional intelligence? It is the ability to not only read your own emotions, but also the emotions of someone else. And you can use those emotions in a way that will garner the positive and results that you're looking for, but also you can strategize based on those responses so that you can yield a goal with the both of you all or the whole in mind. So, how does that look in a group setting? How does that look in a staffing setting? What does that look like? That looks like creating a culture where you understand what your abilities are, and you also understand where your weaknesses or your challenged areas are. And you do not make excuse for them, but you delegate reasonably so that you don't stick out like a sore thumb or the headache in the room. So that as your staff is exchanging with you in any manner of a way, then they can have also, they can walk away still emotionally sound. They have not been scarred by you or your attitude or your lack thereof. Because sometimes people feel like emotional intelligence is having a lack of emotion. And that's not what emotional intelligence is. Emotional intelligence is being able to navigate the gamut of emotions that we go through so that the best result is what we yield. So we are laboring to yield fruit of the Spirit. We are laboring to show temperance, to show long suffering, to show kindness, to show perseverance, to show understanding. And this all takes you out of the middle of it, but makes you one of the people of interest because you have an interest in seeing the goal as the center. And so you want to see that goal, not by any means necessary. So we're not bullying one another, but we are taking the time, we are yielding patience with one another so that we can get the results in which we so desire. All right. And so there are a few areas that I want to talk about when we specifically think of business emotional intelligence. The first thing that I want to talk about is self awareness. That's an honest conversation that you have alone. That's an honest conversation that you sometimes you have to work with through work out, excuse me, with through therapeutic help so that you can understand who you are, how you function, what's good for you, and what is not good for you. You can understand where your strengths are, and you can understand how your strengths add value to wherever you are, and also what your challenging areas are, and how you can add value in spite of those challenging areas. But you don't push yourself. You, what I consider, reveal yourself. So it's about being vulnerable, it's about being aware, and it's about being available. And how do we show ourselves in a group setting or in a office setting or in an organizational setting to be self-aware? It's simple. It's simple in the way that you know what you know and you don't know what you don't know. And so when you're met with something that challenges what you have established as your norm, take a moment to step back, process the information that you hear, receive the information that you're gaining, and run it through the filter of your intelligence, your intellect, of the culture in which you're trying to create, and also of the institute that you're in. So if this is a church, then the way that that looks in church is this biblical? Does this hurt or harm someone else? And how can I use this so that I can further lift up the gospel? So if this is in a business, is this information true? Does this hurt or harm anyone else? And how can I apply this principle in order to build up toward our end goal, whether it's servicing customers or serving a client? Does this make me look better as a whole, or is this hurting the way that I show up or my brand shows up? Pay attention to these things. Use your emotions to filter it through, but step outside of your emotions in order to say, okay, now I have this new information. I have processed this new information, and this is how I'll set this new information in motion in this particular arena. All right. And so that's self awareness. The next one is self regulation. These may seem as though they go hand in hand, which they follow up one another. So you can have self awareness, but if you are not self regulating, you being aware means nothing to anyone else. It is actually very harmful. It's very harmful because then you can use it to the disadvantage of another person. So then you began to manipulate others. You began to bully them with your personality, or you began to push your weight around and expect other people to lift up the weight without you sharing a context as to where you want everyone to go in a whole. And so self-awareness breeds a vulnerability that self-regulation then picks up and takes forward. How is this possible, or what does this look like? It looks this way. So now that I have just heard new information, and this new information has challenged what I felt as though I already knew. So now I know something different than I did know, right? So now, how do I regulate this information? Do I apologize because I've arrogantly moved forward or arrogantly spouted off based on what I thought I knew? Did I become aggressive and assertive because I was put in an uncomfortable position that challenged what I thought was true? Or did I become very passive and allow things to railroad and spiral out of control based on my lack of trust and ability to yield based on a weak area that I have? This is what self-regulation not only looks like, but this is how you implement it in the way that you process going forward. Why is this important? I hear the question, what is this for? This is for those who want a culture of integrity. This is for those who want a culture that grows. This is for those who would love a culture that breeds and yields the fruit that God says multiplies. He multiplies the things that he blesses, that he approves of, that go along with his plan and his will for his children on this great earth, because the earth belongs to the Lord and everything in it, it all belongs to him. And so we want to represent him in the way that we show up in our business, especially you, my Black business owner, especially you, my Black leader, especially you, my Black and brown, however you want to qualify yourself, but Black and brown person of leadership. It's so important that we take time not only to have self awareness, but then also self regulation. So we're going to regulate the way that we show up by admitting where our faults are. It's no harm in apologizing. There is no harm in admitting that you have a area that is challenging to you, that actually helps others to not only relate to you, but to also see themselves as a value to your organization or your business. No one person can do it all alone. It is not good that man be alone. And the reason why that's important to understand beyond the construct of marriage is because we need each other as one body. Every person is a part of this body. The arm needs the shoulder, right? This shoulder, I need my back in order to function. Without my back, I would not have a shoulder. And that means I would not have the mobility of this arm. So we are all necessary. And I think it's very important that we insist on moving according to the plan and the purpose that God has created for us. Now, I know that we may not understand fully why we would be even having a conversation today in reference to something as bold as emotional intelligence in your business or business intelligence in the way that you function. But I want you to know that uh, every year, businesses are failing everywhere, not because they don't have good product, not because they're not ready and equipped, but because they lack the business intelligence to thrive. Now, you can function and only make the same $50,000 every single year with no overhead or no change in your business. But if you want to represent the kingdom of God, and the way that, because every tree grows, it does not stay the same. So if we are representing the fruit that comes from the tree that God has planted, that's rooted in the will of the Father, then we want to grow in what we're doing. So we don't want to show up the same way that we showed up last year. We don't want to show up with the same information, even if we feel like that worked. That worked, but now we have to add to that something much greater. And how do we add something much greater? We add something much greater by incorporating principles of emotional intelligence. The greatest of leaders, Elon Musk, walks in emotional intelligence. Grant Cardone, he flourishes in emotional intelligence. And we can see when a person does not operate in emotional intelligence. And you know what we say? We call them fools and stupid and foolish. And this is no offense to the Donald Trumps of the world, but this is in all recognition as we judge people who do not operate in emotional intelligence, yet then we fail to garner emotional intelligence within our own businesses because we feel as though we don't have an audience of people watching us. But God is watching and God knows and he sees. So another way to incorporate emotional intelligence in the workspace through business intelligence is first we have self-awareness, then we have self-regulation, and next we have motivation. Motivation. Now, motivation to you may be listening to a message that kind of shakes you up and gets you geared up and ready to go, pumped up and ready to go. Motivation to you may also look like, for me, it's fitness. I am motivated to see how my body changes through fitness. It makes me work harder when I see something changing or shifting, not in my weight, but just in the disposition of my body. And this is what I want you to gain from this conversation. I want you to gain the idea that though your weight is great, though your stature is awesome, God wants to reposition the way that you show up. Because sometimes when that muscle, the muscular legs or that muscular arm, it just brings a different appeal to your business. And now the way that you're showing up, it attracts an entirely different clientele. It attracts an entirely different type of staff. They have a different approach to you because you showed up different today. And so that's what I mean by motivation. And the reason why motivation is important is plain and simple, you guys. Motivation is important because who, um, without motivation, we don't do our best work. We don't even tap into our brain in a way that shows that we are intellectual. Without motivation, we need it. We thrive on it. It not only makes us show up better, but it makes us to show up prepared. It makes us show up in a way where we are now lifting up someone else because we're motivated. I'm motivated to be here today. I'm not motivated to be here today because this makes me look good. I'm motivated to be here today because youth are being empowered. Youth are being given a gift that they did not have the day before, where they can now believe that they can achieve the goals that they've set out for themselves. How do I know this? I know this for my own personal experience, that when someone said, hey, I've already filled out the application for you. I need you to go ahead and I need you. So shout out to Dr. Jackson from Hampton University. I filled out the application for you. I need you to fill in the areas where I don't know this information, but I need for you to apply to this school. And then not only apply to this school, but then a family came about and they said, hey, so what I have for you is a scholarship. So here's a check. And not only here's a check, but here is your first laptop. And what that did for me was empower me to say, oh my goodness, not only can I do this, but I have the tools and the equipment to do it too. So that alone motivates me not only to get up and show up here today, but it motivates me to invite other people to get up and show up for this event as well, because there are youth who need that $5,000 scholarship. There are youth who need a laptop. So I am motivated by the idea of the testimony that I've lived and how it's changed my life. And so that motivation takes me into showing up as my best self. It takes me into not only preparing so that I can represent properly, but also creating content that when I show up, I'm not showing up empty handed. I am showing up with value. And so that is what motivation will do for your business, for your organization. Emotional intelligence yields motivation. And so when you have emotional intelligence, not only do you bring self-awareness not only for yourself and those who work with you, you bring self-regulation to not only yourself, but those who work with you. And then also you bring motivation so that when they show up, not only are they representing your brand, but they are screaming loud and proud. Here I stand as a Black businesswoman representing the Black Business Expo so that these Black children can have a Black education in a Black society that lifts up the name of our Father who is holy and who is right. And so because they're able and they're capable and they've been given gifting and genius is common in our culture, we are going to continue to be motivated. We're going to continue to show up because when we show up self-aware, self-regulated, and motivated, then we can have empathy. We can empathize with the client who is calling in. We can empathize with the person who has had a very bad day and they've been on hold this entire time and they need your service. But more than they need your service right now, they need to be met with your empathy. Empathy wins over everyone. Not sympathy, meaning you pity them, but empathy, meaning you understand that they've experienced something that may shake them up. Something they've experienced something that kind of shakes up the way that they get to show up today. And so because you understand that, now you get to yield your positive energy. You get to yield your fruits of the spirit as we talked about, right? So we're showing up with love. We're showing up with temperance. We're showing up with long suffering. We're showing up with patience. We're showing up with kindness. This is how we're showing up because we have empathy. We can empathize with the traumas that they may have faced before they came into our doors. We can empathize with whether even the trauma was whom they worked with before, whether the trauma is the types of personalities that they've experienced in a business just like yours before they were able to dial your number or stumble upon your website. And so you're not showing up arrogantly because you are not the end all and the be all, because there are so many more like you. But the way that you can be the difference maker is by showing up empathetic. And the last of the five is this: it's social skills. How do you show up and speak to one another? How do you laugh at a joke, or are you offended and so you can't laugh? Are you aware, self-aware? Are you socially aware? Your social skills, meaning the way that you not only um, transmute information, but the way that you transmute it within yourself and you also transport it out to someone else. How do you take in? Are you taking it in through your feelings? So now, because of what you perceive, now you go and you spread information based on your perception. And now we have misinformation available on the table. Or are your social skills intact in such a way that you don't need to filter things through a pain perception or a hurt perception or a traumatic perception? We're talking about emotional intelligence because the way that we show up every single day, despite what we've been through the day before, right? How do you show up for work today? How do you show up for your business today? How are you representing those fruits of the Spirit? I'm going to always and continue to go back to the fruits of the Spirit because we are kingdom people. We are kingdom minded. And when God gives us these giftings and these talents that we have taken and created businesses and brands and organizations and have a passion behind, then we have to show up representing the King who gave it to us. We have to show up representing the King who not only gifted us with these things, but he also gave us mercy and grace to carry them out every single day. So my question to you is, are you emotionally intelligent in your workplace? Now, you can't be if you're not emotionally intelligent overall. You can't be. So if all your friends say, I hate talking to him or her, or oh, he or she is so phony, or I just don't enjoy being around this person. If that's the feedback that you're getting and people are strained to be in your presence, then I think we need to work on our self-awareness, our self-regulation. We need to work on our empathy. We need to work on our motivation. What motivates you? What drives you? What's moving you? And we need to work on our social skills. How do you speak up? How do you show up? In what way are you providing a culture within your organization, business, church, group, staff, whatever it is? And this is to you, brown, black, beautiful, beautiful soul. It's so important for us as a people to, you know how back in the day they would say, oh no, you have to go to college. You have to not only just go to graduate high school, but graduate college and go after your master's and go after your doctorate. The reason they said it is because you have to work 10 times harder in this world that is already hell bent on oppressing you. That was their messaging to us. So now this is the new message. Keep that in mind, right? But now put on, you have to show up emotionally intelligent. You can't show up scarring and hurting and bruising people and expecting them to still want to work with you. You have to show up not only emotionally intelligent, but show up culturally intelligent, show up socially intelligent, show up institutionally intelligent, and show up business intelligent. These things and these principles will create an atmosphere that shifts. It shifts the way that people do business with you. They're not like, oh, he's calling again, or oh, what does this person want? They are willing and they're ready to not only do business with you, but provide for you information that you don't have. They know then that they can communicate with you in a way where there is a give and a take in the relationship. They can talk to you in a way that will strengthen you where you are weak. They can help you in ways that will promote you where you're strong, without feeling like, oh, let me just puff this person up so that I can move past this and go on with the rest of my day. But it will be genuine. You'll create genuine, lasting relationships, so much so that when you decide that you are the Mark Zuckerberg and his partners, then not only do you create Facebook, but then you go from Facebook to Meta. And Meta is it's regulated in such a way where it functions without them even having to be on it. Do y'all remember having Mark Zuckerberg as a friend on these social platforms? That's how he had to show up first, show himself available, show himself aware of the space, show himself using the platform, and then show himself motivated to have this establishment here or in this space. And then he had to show his social skills, show his empathy to all those who were trying to use it. So he would send messaging to everybody. He would post for the collective whole. And we see this mimic through Clubhouse as well, and their leaders, and those who created it, their creators. This is emotional intelligence being shown in front of us. And yet somehow when we show up, we want people to receive us as we are. And we don't want to conduct ourselves in a way where we are performing at our highest, where we are taking advantage of the emotions that are beautiful and can be harmful of other people. Taking advantage means being aware of them, operating in a way that assists this person to navigate through them safely, and becoming a brand or a product and service that provides an atmosphere of greatness so that we sustain employees, partners, business partners, social partners, relationship partners. We show up ready and we show up available. And so these things are very important to me. And I pray that as you are going forward as a business owner, whatever your business is that you insist on being emotional intelligent, emotionally intelligent. Emotional intelligence is the name of the game. Because as we have shifted into an avatar world, people cannot read emotion based on text. They have to know that you know how you're coming across. And so you are regulating the way that you show up because you're self-aware. You know that, you know what, when I speak very loudly and I get very passionate, I got to bring it down a little bit because I don't want anyone to be off put by the tone of my voice. I don't want anyone to be off put by the choice of words that I use. And so I regulate myself in a way that says, relax, Coach Kimm. They are listening. They are here to not only receive information, but they are learning by the way that you show up as well. And so as I am going forward and as you are going forward, I want you to know that you are evidence of your emotional intelligence. You are evidence of your social intelligence. You are evidence of your business intelligence. It is apparent in where you show up. It's apparent. All right. And so I want you to kind of take some inventory. And that's what I wanted to talk about just as we're coming to a close. It's taking inventory. What does inventory look like? How does taking inventory help your business and your brand? And how then can, and thank you so much for everyone who is watching. I do see your comments coming through. I appreciate you so much. May God bless you. May he smile on you richly, and may you prosper in your business and flourish in a way that people gonna be like, wait a minute now, I know that ain't her, but yes it is her, and it is him. So thank you so much for your attention. So how are we showing up? In what way then um, do we do this? What does this look like? What is our inventory? Our inventory is not only over our content that we are posting on our socials, right? Because as a business owner, you should have social media and you should be using it. But then also, what does that look like for our avatar? Not the avatar that we're servicing, but our avatar. Who are we saying that we are by the way that we're showing up in these areas? What does that look like? All right. So go ahead and take inventory over your website. Have someone else look at it and say, hey, I want to send this to you. Tell me what you think of this. Ask someone what they think of your social media feed. Now, don't ask a person who is your yes man. Ask a person who is an accountability partner to you. And the reason you want to ask someone who you allow to be critical to you, that's another part of this inventory. Allow someone to be critical of you. Okay. Now, not only use the information that they give you or the feedback that they give you, but understand the avatar that you want to have as a business, as a brand. And I know we do this in our brand recognition when we first start off and we first launch, but I need you to take inventory now. This is the time where you need to look and see what you have on the shelf. What is your warehouse looking like? What is it full of? Is it full of broken people who you no longer communicate with? Is it full of people who only do business with you because they're just, you're related to them? Or is it full of people who genuinely love you, trust you, and can count on you for what you provide to the economy and the business world? Take that inventory. Not only of your website, not only of your socials, but then also of your bank account. A lot of times we like to say, our bank account represents the type of business that we've done throughout the year. And that can be true. And in some ways, it's not true. Because the business that you do not only generates generates funds for you, but it also gives you the ability to put funding into your business as well. So not only should you see the monies that have come in, but you should also see how you used money for, or fiat, how you've used it to market, brand, advertise, pay clients or business partners, grow a staffing. What have you done with the seed that you've been given? All right. So we are taking inventory. I love talking about it, taking inventory, because I used to work at a shoe store. And when we would go into our warehouse in the back, you know how you say, hey, do you got a size 10 in here? And they're like, no. And I'm like, well, can you look in the back? And they're like, well, I know we don't have it back there. It's not, no, we don't, you know what, I'll go look for you. And then go to look in the back to see if it's been misplaced anywhere else. This is what we do and need to do within our business. I like to give examples. So I hope and I pray my illustrations are helping you to understand the context in which I'm referring to. So when a shoe salesperson or shoe store manager goes to the back, what they are doing is they are looking to see, one, if they may have left a pair of shoes that you're looking for in the back, if they even have it in stock. And then two, to mark off on their inventory list what people are asking for the most. The reason why this is important is because it gives them real life analysis, a on like a in time, real time analysis of what their clients are asking for. And so when you know what your customer is looking for when they come from you, when they come to you, when it comes to your business, now that's what you show more of. That is what you yield more of. Those are the seeds that you began to develop so that you can grow that mighty tree. So if when people come to you for your business, they come to you because you have a great atmosphere. They come to you because you make them feel warm. They come to you because the wealth of knowledge that you have supersedes their expectations. Then guess what? Do more of that. Show up that way. When they come to your website, it's so easy to understand. Don't switch it up and get this AI intelligence to the point where now it's putting information out there that your customer is not looking for. Look at your analytics on your socials. Pay attention to them. Are people paying attention to you? Are people, and what are they paying attention to when you are posting? What are they paying attention to when you show up? When you come to the day, when you come to your day, right, early in the morning, when you look at your analytics, what is it saying? Does it say your customers are available when you are available, or are they available at a different time of day? This is what's important. And the reason why it's important is this. It's important because you need to know the way that people need you, because they are telling you what their problem is every single day. So let's say for me, I come from the big girl feet society. And so when I go into your shoe store and I'm like, y'all never have more than 2 pair of size 10s in a shoe. And y'all know it's more people in the world that have 9 and up feet than there are people who have 6 and down feet. Why do you have these tiny shoes? So then what you can do when you are going for creating your inventory list and you're about to make these phone calls to your manufacturer or your provider for your merchandise, what you can then do is say, you know what? This month or these next quarter, I am going to have a surplus of sizes 9 through 12, because I know so many different people came in looking for this thing. And so that is what you do in your own business. Okay. So, all right. So I had so many people asking me about diabetes. I had so many people asking me about how they can shift their content on social media. Now, so many people keep asking me this. Guess what? Show up that way for them. That's what they're telling you. That's their problem. That's their pain point. And they need you to provide that service because this is something they cannot provide for themselves. So be that for them. Be that God put you here on earth and your gifting and your talent as a solution to a problem. So we're going to take inventory. I love taking inventory because inventory not only provides the analytics that you need to go forward, but it helps you merchandise your store, your business with what the people need from you. Now, I don't know if you've ever shown up at a regular, like a chain store, right? So like 7-Eleven. I go into 7-Eleven. There's one. I love hot tamales, you guys. Please don't judge me. Okay. So hot tamales are my favorite candy. Not the hot tamale like the food, but candy, hot tamales. They're my favorite. And so when I go into the 7-Eleven and I see they only have 2 things of hot tamales, I take those 2. I take all of them. And then I'll go back and I say, hey, where's your hot tamales? Oh, we don't have any more. Can you get some more, please? And when they get another box, I take 4. And so what that does is when they make their inventory list for the next 2 weeks, when they're ordering it from their supplier, they are going to order 2 boxes of hot tamales. Why? Because they are supplying a need to a customer who's a regular, who comes back often. So the inventory also includes who are your regular customers? Who are these people? How can you please them? Do they like it when you greet them with a hello, beautiful soul? Do they like it when you greet them um with a hey girl, hey? Who are these people? Know your customer. This is a part of social skills. This is a part of empathizing with your customer. This is a part of motivating your customer, motivating your staff, motivating your organization uh, group or setting. This is a part of that. This is a part of self-regulating. Why? Because you're regulating. This is a part of awareness. You're regulating what you provide. You're regulating what you give to this person. I know, for instance, I know they know when I come in. Not only do my children run in one direction to get one thing, I go in another direction to get another thing. But they make sure that they have all of these, and I'm a regular there, so they're like, "Hey, girl," when I come into the door. They know me. They know what I want. They know what I came to look for. Oh, I got because I don't like cold drinks. I do not like cold water. So they say, "Hey, I got your waters back here." I remember when I was working at a company, they had a store downstairs in our office building. And of course, because I work in this building, I go to that store often. And so when I was going to the store, they recognized that I did not like refrigerated water and that I would often ask them for warm water or room temperature water. And so eventually the owner started to put waters specifically for me in a cabinet drawer. Or cabinet door. And so when I would come in, now we didn't even have to say anything to each other anymore. I automatically went to the cabinet, got my waters out, and paid for it and went about my day. And so that is the type of service that you want to provide to your customer. Know them. Who is your customer? What is it that they come to you for? Meaning, not just your product, but what is their expectation? I came to expect that he would answer all of my quiet needs without making a fuss. That when he knew that the way that I liked my meal would be this type of way. And so he would do it. And no, I got hers. Don't worry about it. And he would take care of mine every time I walked through that door. And so that is the type of emotional business intelligence that you need to have so that you are showing up that way as well. That's a part of this inventory. That's why inventory is so important, because it creates a pattern of behavior that breeds an expectation. So then others can say, girl, you go over there, because when you go over there to them, they're going to do it this way. Like where we go get our nails done or where we go get our feet done. I love the man that does my feet, and they know I don't want no woman doing them. And they know this. It's like when I come, they're like, and Mike's like, I got her, because they understand the quality of service that I have in expectation. And so with that being said, I want us to not only do the 5, right? So I'm going to go over the 5 for you one more time. The 5 are this. It is self-awareness. It meaning being aware of your kinks, your quirks, your everything. Like, be aware of them. Be aware of how you come across to others. Be aware of how other people perceive you. Not so that you can change yourself, but so that you can self-regulate, which is next. Regulate, right? So then we regulate the dispensation of our energy. We regulate the dispensation of our information. We regulate the way that we put out what we are and who we are. We can regulate it. Number 3, motivation, right? So emotional intelligence creates a motivation. So we motivate others in a way where now they're showing up as their best selves. They're showing up ready, geared up to go, and they are showing up in a way that will lift up our business, not pull it down. Number 4, empathy. So self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation. Then we have empathy, meaning we can empathize not only with one another, but we empathize with our customer or with our client. We are empathizing with them in such a way where they have no choice but to come back. Because good God, oh my goodness, some people care so much. And that's what I mean about him knowing Okay, I got to get her some water and put him to the side because I empathize with her. She had to wait, and I expressed it one time was I could not drink my water until the end of the workday because I do not drink cold water. That's how cold your water is when it's coming. And I went in the morning when it's coming out of your freezer, so they empathize with that and they made a shift. Do you do that as a business? Do you do that as a church? Do you do that as an organization? Because it's very important that you show up this way, especially as we are moving into the metaverse, because people need to know that you're willing to be flexible for them. Lastly, and not least, is social skills. Are you able to take a joke? Are you able to articulate what you feel and what you mean and what you're doing? Are you able to, what's the word? Show vulnerability. That's the word. Are you able to do that? Vulnerability means you're not perfect. And I'm going to tell you guys a secret about me. The secret is this. I I had to learn all of these things because I thought that the only safe space due to my upbringing was isolation and anger. And so that is how I showed up. My face will be stern, hard. I wouldn't smile. I would not talk to or engage other people. And so I realized that as I was going forward, I heeded to the call of God that is on my life. Then I had to be aware of the traumas that caused me to respond in a certain type of way. Go to therapy to work through those traumas and then began to self regulate. Once I began to regulate, I couldn't self regulate at first. Okay. Regulation came through talking to a therapist, regulation came through studying the word of God and understanding what the expectation through Christ Jesus was for my countenance. What is countenance, Coach Kimm? Oh, y'all are asking perfect questions. Countenance is what precedes you, what people see illuminating from you when you're not saying anything at all. Is your countenance regal? Is your countenance sad? Is your countenance anger? Is your countenance um, availability? Is your countenance of vulnerability? Or is your countenance that of mal behaviors? Are you sneaky? Are you conniving? Are you a safe space? Understand that these things come off, they illuminate, and those of us who have um, discernment of spirit can see and sense these things. And so your customers, your clients, those who do business with you, they can see these things. And so you want to show up in a way that represents the kingdom of God and his will and his plan and his purpose for your business, because he gave you this gift so that you can create wealth. He gives us the ability to generate wealth. And with that being said, I am grateful to have been here with you today. I'm grateful that you have heard me and that you have taken notes, because you take inventory of where you are as well. So,
Coach
yes,
Kim,
yes,
you are
Donna.
phenomenal. You are just a doll, and I have learned so much. I did take notes because there's always something to learn from Coach Kim.
Oh,
And I hope others were prepared with pen and paper. And
yes,
I hope
ma'am.
they can take what you've given and can use it moving forward to benefit them in any way possible.
Yes,
Coach
ma'am.
Kim, thank you so much for coming today. Doll, just remember this: genius is common.
Yes,
We'll see
ma'am.
you on
Thank
the
you
other
so much.
side,
Bye
lady.
now.